Welcome back. This one is so fun. It's a glitter ombre effect with flowers and 3D ladybugs. Definitely one that you can charge a lot more for. Takes a little bit of time, but oh, is it so worth it. But truthfully, it's not that hard. It just is a process of needing to go through each step. So as always, let's pretend that these are fully finished filed nail enhancing that has no base coat yet, because we're going to apply the base coat. We need the tackiness to be able to use for our glitters. Okay, so I'm going to use the Nail Alchemy base coat. You can use any brand. This just is the one I'm in love with right now. So I apologize, this is hot glue off of this side, so it's going to make it look a little bit different, but I think you're going to understand exactly what I'm doing here despite that. Okay, apply your base coat. Just like any other layer, you put your bulk down first, bring it over to one side evenly, and then over to the other. Go over it more than once. Then you're going to allow that to settle for a little bit. So we're actually going to do all three at the same time. So this is like you've applied the base coat to every nail. And once again, it's very much worth it, especially in your base coat, to take your time applying it. That's the foundation for your bond to your nail. Boy, this one has a lot of hot glue on there. Always try different systems to be able to do this, and honestly I work better with having something to hold that's similar to a finger in my hand. It's a better process for me. So even though there's other ways, this is still my favorite. So while that is still wet, now if you're using additive, you're going to cure it and then use the tacky layer, but this is loose fine glitter, and so we're going to use it while it's still wet. Here's a yellow from Young Nails, Elegant Glass. This one's more of a white. I like to pour it into the lid. I'm going to move those to the side. And I want this to fade up the nail, so I'm not going to apply it to the whole thing. Very lightly get it primed so that you know when you tap it, just a little bit of glitter comes out. And then apply the glitter very sparingly where you want it. Make sure you got your sides. Move your client's finger around. And then allow that to settle for a moment. You're going to see the glitter settle into that base coat. And because it's completely clear, it allows the prism to really come through. I'm going to cure all these together. I have two of them that are a yellow background. So same thing again, prime this to where you just have a little bit coming out. If you used a brush with the glitter at this point, it would move that base coat around and not allow you to get an even layer. So this is something that you really just have to take your time and sprinkle it on. Get the sides. Allow that one to set. Putting it into the lid allows you to dump it back into your bottle without that much waste. And then this one is the white. Allow those to settle. And then you're going to do a complete cure. Yeah, fun glitters. So a cost-saving thing to do with the glitters is there's a company on not on eBay, sorry, I've never ordered from eBay actually, Amazon, called Glitties. And I swear to you, it's the same packaging as some of these others. The fineness is the same, but these ones come down to be about $1 each, as these are $4, $5, and $6 each. And so sometimes it's nice to have the name brand, but in case of Glitties, I can say this is a great off-brand to be able to use and save some money. So these are cured. I'm going to take a manicure brush, one that I don't drop, and you're going to brush off the excess glitter. And at this point with my client, I actually wipe off the glass, I remove this, anything that would have glitter to it that's going to contaminate my base coat. I want it gone and away. Then I'm going to encapsulate that again using my base coat. Base coat's clear and you can layer it on top of each other without it separating. I don't have to go all the way to the cuticle, but I do want to apply a thin layer over all of the glitter. Make sure you encapsulate all the way down the sides. Lightly cap your free edge. And then once again, you're going to allow that to settle for a moment. If you're using chunkier glitter, sometimes it takes 2 coats of base coat over the top. And you can tell it just allows the glitter to stay pure form, which gives the highest prism. And by cleaning that off, you should not see any glitter on your brush. You won't be contaminating your base coat. And then you're going to cure those again for the complete time. Oops, I just smudged that one. So I don't flash cure any of my stuff. I always do a complete time cure. If you saw in one of the other videos that I did, I didn't get it set all the way and we had to troubleshoot how to fix it. Because, you know, sometimes a client's hand, like mine, is a touch bottom. So if they lift up their hand or part of it while they're talking, the light goes off and you don't realize it because you're in a conversation, and so therefore it can make a mess sometimes. Okay, so when this comes out, you should see it should be smooth. It's going to be a little bit rough, and that's normal. So you can either apply a second base coat, which is what I like to do, or you can take a buffer and lightly buff it to get it smooth. If you have the chunkier glitter and you've already applied 2 bases and you don't want your nail to get super thick, I would definitely take a buffer, smooth it, and then, you know, apply your final layer that way. So I like to come in and just base coat again. Being that the last base coat stopped here, I'm going to go in a different spot. I'm going to stop it up in here, because if I always go back to the same area, it's going to build that up. And that's why I don't go all the way down to the cuticle. So this way it allows it to taper out. It's just slight, but it's one of those little OCD things that can, you know, make your nail look better at the end. Here it goes. I love glitter. Of course, these are on a clear tip, so on a natural nail, your glitter is going to be a lot more noticeable. It's not as see-through. If you really want to make it solid, you could do a white layer first, or another yellow, and then ombre up your glitter. But we're going to have a lot of artwork on these, so to be honest with you, you're not going to see much through it anyways. All right, this is the first one that was in there. Base coat has a little bit of a tacky layer, and I don't like to work on a tacky layer, so I'm going to use a makeup wedge and alcohol to remove the tacky. I like makeup wedges because they're lint free and I can use them over and over. Remove the tacky layer. At this point you'll see that it's completely smooth. See the light reflection in there? Very nice. The white one and the other yellow one. Allow your alcohol to completely dry. We're going to be doing white flowers on these and yellow sunflowers. So on my palette of my glass, I'm going to get out white paint. For the sunflower, I think you can use gel polish. However, I'm going to show you how to do sunflowers using craft paint. And then we're going to have ladybug, so I'm just using a red gel polish. So in here we're going to have white flowers, which I've demonstrated in the other videos as well. This one I'll do it with smaller petals rather than the large ones. So I'm going to use the smaller end of a dotting tool. And you're just going to make a long dot it down and drag them all at one time. I want my petals even, so I dip every time in between. If I just continued to go, my petals would get smaller and smaller, which is fine too. I mean, that's the fun of hand art and abstract, is you can make them whatever you want. So this is gel polish, so at some point in time, you have to stop before they all start sliding into each other. And set that in the light. You can see how quick and easy. Those are not moving around just yet, so I have the opportunity to come in and add a little bit of red centers. And then I can cure that. And this one's the same. Add white flowers. And red centers. So this comes out. You can continue to add, you know, a trail of white dots, whatever you want to there. I always like to wait till my accent finger's done, and then I can go back to these and decide if I want to add black to these, because I know I'm in all my ladybugs, I'm going to have black, or if I whatever I want to do. So I kind of just get to a certain point and then I hold off and just wait. So to use craft paint to do these flowers, we're going to use a fine brush. Once again, craft paint I use out of the lid. The center of a sunflower is brown. And little black dots. And then you have to do your layout. I'm going to have my ladybug. I really want it kind of on the glitter and then comfortable for the client. So I don't want it all the way on the tip because they're going to have this raised area. It's going to be 3D. So I tend to put it towards the center of the nail. So if I put my ladybug into here, then I know I probably want a flower here, and then maybe like it's going to another flower. I'm going to use a fine bristled brush. pull out your craft paint. Sometimes you might have to dilute it down with a little bit of water. And then just like with the dotting tool, I'm going to come in and add my petals. So this air dries as you go. What I like about using craft paint is your petals get a little natural dimension. Add another flower up here. And allow that to air dry just for a moment. I'm going to clean off my brush, use water to clean it. Sometimes you can get away with just using it dry like this. I'm going to come in with my brown on a dotting tool. I'm going to add a whole bunch of little dots. I'm going to connect them. I don't want it solid because I want some dimension in there. Being that this theme, you can tell, is going to be yellow, red, and white, I could come in with a little bit of orange and highlight the leaves of the sunflowers, but I think that's going to be distracting to the whole color theme unless I add orange to the rest. So in this case, I'm not going to outline those petals. I'm going to leave them like that. I'll come back in. The brown is still wet, so I'm not going to mess with that yet. So this gives me time to go to the next level. So I'm going to use my red. I'm going to create my ladybug. And I try to go a little bit real life size. You don't want it too thick because you don't want it to ripple, but a nice even layer on the nail. That's gel polish, so it needs to be cured in the light. When I decorate my ladybugs, for my fine lines, you could use an even finer brush than this to be able to do it. This one's a little too big. I am so used to using the striper brushes out of these gel paint, or out of these stripers, that this is my go-to. And then for the black polka dots on it, I'm just going to use the black acrylic paint again. And then to create its little antennas, I'm going to use the fine point of a dotting tool. So at this point, my brown is dry. I can come in with the fine point, and I can add in my black dots just to give a little bit of dimension to the centers. So if you use a gel polish that has a tacky layer, you'll wipe that with alcohol to remove the tacky. I'm using D&D, and there's not much of a tacky layer on there, so I can continue to go on. So using my dotting tool, the very finest point, and my craft paint, I'm going to create its head. It's a little bit curved. Like that. Then I'm going to dot it in. I'm going to do 2 dots where his little antennas would be, and then drag the dots into the head. And my dotting tool, I know is going to make too wide of a line to go down his body. So this is like where I like to use the striper brush. A very thin line up the center. And then with the finest point of the dotting tool, you're going to come in and add some dots. then, I hate to say it, I call this the poop trail. There always seems to be a little trail behind bees and ladybugs and all of that on nails. So you just kind of create its little trail. For fun, I'm going to create the trail coming on this side too. Which makes me look at the other ones all together. And it kind of makes me want to add some black onto those as well. So, as a theme together, it makes this make sense. I'll add, let's see, I'm going to make one go this way. Just very, very faint. It just starts pulling all those together. So everything on here that needs a setup is craft paint. You want it to thoroughly dry before you go into adding your next level. So cleanup time. Once that's dry, you're going to come in and you're going to add a tack-free top coat. Your 3D comes after that. So your top coat. You don't have to use tack-free, but once again, I'm just won over by this company. And I really like their products. Long, even strokes. And lightly cap your free edge. Allow it to settle out, and then cure. And the same for this one. Lean up your desk. Obviously the gel paint's going to come off easy. This one's going to make me work at it. To do 3D, you want to use a clear hard gel. My friend Becky, who is a Sew on Gel rep, sent me this, and I told her that I like to use it for my 3D, so she sent me one so I could use hers. Anywhere that you want to stick up, you're going to add the hard gel, and you're going to use your dotting tool. You just put a dab on there, and then pull the center up, and then set it in the light. And what's really cool about using something like a hard gel that's clear is that even though this design's flat and you add the raised area of the hard gel, it gives it like the colors all the way through. It's so beautiful, it makes it more real life, you know? So take off the end. Right where you want to add, this is already coming out. Ooh, I might make a mess. Oh, it's perfect. Look at that. It's 3D. It's how the color looks like it's all the way through it. I'm going to move it just a little bit to get the size of my ladybug. Lift the center up. You can see that. And cure. 3D made super easy. So I have done 3D flowers like these. I can say it's a lot harder because you can tell hard gel is going to self-level. And so you might have to do like put a dab, drag it, set in the light, and then dab, drag it, set in the light. You can make these 3D. However, the finer petals like that makes it harder. You might have to do, you know, something to make it 3D, something that has those bigger petals on it, to do it like that. So you can see how 3D it's lifted up on the nail. It's completely smooth. There's going to be a tacky layer on that I'll need to wipe off. But I like to go through and cure that one more time. That's pretty thick. And I want to make sure it's completely hardened. So I cure one more time. These already have the top coat. They're tack free, so they're not sticky at all. And let's see. Once again, this one might take a little bit more time and a little bit more product, but you can definitely charge a whole lot more for it. So we used red for the ladybug, white for the flowers, craft paint, striper, yellow for some flowers, yellow and white glitter, dotting tools, hard gel, a base coat and a top coat, and we created a super cute theme. Remember to always pose your client. That works best for being able to capture this. So obviously I want a little bit of an angle because I want to show that that's a 3D ladybug. It's so fun. Not hard to do. A little bit time consuming, but worth it. So thank you for joining me.